Thanks for checking out Chamber Web TV. This is Cambridge Votes 2014. We're having conversations with the candidates for the October 27th municipal election. I'm Brian Butcher. I'm Vice President here at the Chamber. And it's my pleasure right now to introduce you to and welcome Nicholas Ermeta, candidate in Ward 8.
Thank
Nicholas,
you for the opportunity,
great
Brian.
To see you.
You too.
Thanks
Great
for
to
coming.
see you.
So it's the die is cast. The candidates are up. You've got 5 candidates, including yourself, in Ward 8.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a big ward.
I do, yeah.
You've got a very diverse ward. You've got industrial, a lot of commercial, half of Hesper Road.
And a lot of Toronto commuters, young families,
commuters,
seniors.
A lot of residents. Yeah, you've got a very diverse ward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you've been representing that for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How is the campaigning going?
It's going good. I'm working hard. I'm not taking things for granted.
Good.
And I love getting out and meeting people and hearing what the issues are.
Good, good. So let me ask you, Nick, why are you running?
Well, I'm very passionate about my community. I've lived in Cambridge for 22 years, specifically in that North Galt area, and I feel that there's still a lot more I can contribute. I've started some things in terms of like civic engagement, you know, having neighborhood town hall meetings and door knocking between terms, trying to get people more involved, and I've been reaching out to the youth community as well. And I still feel there's a lot of issues out there that I would like to see get done, like bringing the GO train to Cambridge and more recreational facilities in the ward.
Yeah, good, good. Well, you already mentioned one I'm going to get to in a minute. But I want to ask you, what do you see as the single, you're a councillor for the whole city as well as for Ward 8, what do you see as the single biggest issue facing the city of Cambridge and probably other municipalities in Ontario as well?
I would say jobs, doing more to attract employment. We've done a great job, but I still feel there's a lot more work to be done. And I still know there's a lot of people who are unemployed still who are looking for work, and you know, new graduates from university who are looking for jobs. So I would like to attract more jobs to the area. And I believe that when you have a prosperous economy, everything else falls into place. And I believe that we need that economic growth to generate the wealth that people, the wealth that would be used to provide the services that people would want to see.
Now you're talking the Chamber's language. We're on side with
and
that
I firmly
one for
believe
sure.
that. Yeah.
No, it's absolutely true. The stronger the economy, the stronger the community. There's no question about it. All, the money for everything has to come from somewhere, and that comes from business. There's no doubt. Okay, you've been out knocking on doors. As you said, you've been meeting with the residents of your ward for a long time. What's the single biggest issue facing Ward 8?
Well, I hear a lot about the roundabout at St. Benedict's. That's a concern among many residents. So that's more of a regional issue, and even though it's been a regional issue, I've still been quite vocal in raising those concerns to the region over the last 4 years, and I'll continue to do that. But in terms of the jurisdiction that council has, I would say that a lot of residents would like to see more recreational facilities. I've had some requests for new playgrounds, for like a splash pad in Whitmer Park. And you should see that park. It gets heavily used. Like a lot of people are there at all times of the day. So I certainly think it would get good use.
Yeah, good. Chamber's always looking to our politicians, to everybody actually, for bold new ideas. And we are asking candidates, and I'd like to ask you, do you have any big, bold ideas for Cambridge?
Bringing the convention center to the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's high on my list, and I certainly believe there'd be a lot of benefits. I'd like to look at opportunities with the private sector and government grants from the upper levels of government.
Right.
But I think that's one thing that we're missing, and I would really like to work hard towards it over the next 4 years.
Yeah, a convention center can do so much for a community. There's no question about it. Draw business. There's so many businesses within our region that have to go to Toronto for their conventions of any size at all.
And we're on the 401, we're centrally located, we're closer to the U.S. border than Toronto is, so I certainly feel there's a lot of opportunities.
Great access from the London to Toronto corridor for sure. Yeah. I like to hear that one. We're big on the convention center
we're
for
midway
sure.
between the Niagara tourist area and Ontario's west coast along Lake Huron, so we're a great location for that.
Excellent. Good, bold idea. Let's do that. The LRT, you probably know the Chamber was opposed to the LRT. More particularly, we're opposed to the idea of Cambridge taxpayers paying for the LRT, but not, in fact, getting the benefit of the LRT, the direct benefit of the LRT. The trains will stop at Fairview Mall and not get here. But that battle has been waged, and the die is cast. The LRT is on its way. We see the signs popping up all over the place, and the construction started. now we're thinking that at the very least, maybe there's something we can do to accelerate the process for Cambridge, to improve transit in Cambridge, in the shorter term rather than the very, very long term that it's predicted. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts in that direction.
Well, first of all, I don't think we should give up on the whole area rating. I mean, the LRT is going in, yes, but I still think we should pursue the fight to exempt Cambridge from paying the cost. That's still something I would want to look at. And I know there's still a lot of members of council who want to have that discussion in the next term, and I'm hearing that at the door as well. People do not want to pay for this thing. So I think that we certainly need to, get the big guns out and get people involved on our side who can support our case that we should not be paying for it. And at the very least, the region should be providing Cambridge other services that we need, like the bypass around the city, which is long overdue. And help us step up the GO train and get that coming to our city. And I think if GO came to the city, that could increase the need for LRT. Like if you're looking at increasing the ridership, which is what you would need to bring that down, that could be a tool to do it.
For sure.
Although I think it's going to be a while before we get the ridership for the LRT, but I guess in the long term, that's that would be something that we could do to speed it up, to bring it to the city for those who want to see that.
Yeah, it is all about long-term thinking, and the GO, Kitchener has GO now, one train out in the morning, one train back at night, but they've been promised by the Premier, by the province, that they will have two-way, all-day GO service to Kitchener, which is great for them. Cambridge has been fighting the battle for GO for decades, and the Cambridge route through Milton is a shorter route, quicker for commuters, and less expensive to develop, and yet we're still fighting the battle for GO. You've already expressed some interest in GO. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you feel about that?
I'm all for it. In fact, I think that should have been a higher priority than the LRT. But if you're looking at benefits that would bring to the city, I see increased residential growth. We'd be more accessible to Toronto. Downtown Toronto Union Station would be within an hour and 15 minutes, including all the stops. And I would see increased tourism too. I think that residents in Toronto could take a train out to Cambridge and go to our market in downtown Galt, or go to the theater, walk around, that kind of thing. And I think, with that growth, it would, create the additional employment opportunities in Cambridge.
Yeah, we have so many people funneling out to the 401 every morning to head to their jobs in Toronto and back every night. You got to think we'd have enough to fill a GO car.
And then they would be home sooner as well. They could get more involved in the community.
Yeah, and get their homework done on the way home instead of driving.
For sure.
Yeah. A little more leisure time, hopefully.
Definitely.
Nicholas, where do you see Cambridge in 25 years?
I see us as a prosperous city, exploding with economic growth. Lots of employers coming to the city. I see office buildings along the 401. I see promenades downtown along the river, and restaurants and cafes, like a European atmosphere. And I see a park by the Mill Pond in Hespeler.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
And hopefully that multiplex sports facility as well.
Somewhere.
Yeah, which is
really
really
a convention
needed.
center. Don't forget your convention
Yeah,
center.
that too.
Yeah, we need that.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about online and telephone voting. For the first time, Cambridge voters will have the opportunity to vote online or by telephone. We're the only community in the only municipality in the region to be doing that, but we are certainly not the first in Ontario. It's been done successfully in several communities in the last election. And it promises to change the picture somewhat. It promises to change the participation rate of voters, which is 25 or 30% typically in a municipal election, which is pretty sad considering that you guys are the ones we can actually talk to and interface with. And so we have a direct involvement in our municipal government, and yet 3/4 of us don't get involved in the process to put you into the council seat. I think that online voting has potential to change that to some degree. How much, I'm not sure yet. And I think also the demographics, I think I can see a lot of younger voters getting involved in the conversation and pulling out their phone at night, or sitting in their pajamas at 2 o'clock in the morning and casting their ballot online. How do you feel about online voting? Are you happy with that decision?
Well, I mean, initially, on council, I did have some concerns about the security aspect, and I had some concerns about voting not being done in a public place. But I think our clerk is doing all he can to make sure it's a transparent process and to address those concerns, and it very well could increase the rate of turnout.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
So I eagerly await to see what the results will be.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
And hopefully we'll be at 70 or 80%, but realistically we might reach 40%.
Well, that would be a vast improvement. It'd be fantastic if we could get to 40 or 50%. And particularly if they're informed voters, if they also take the time to learn a little bit about the candidates and the issues, and then mark their ballot, one way or another.
For sure.
Nicholas, is there anything you'd like to say to the voters in Ward 8 before we close?
Yeah, I would like to say that it's been a real honor and a real privilege to be able to serve the ward. I've worked in the city as a whole. I've worked really hard. I've gone out of my way to reach out to my constituents. I'm working with the younger people to try to get them more involved in their community. I'm honest, I'm hardworking, I'm dedicated. I promote the city wherever I go when I meet people out of town. I have photos on my phone of different parts of Cambridge, and I'm increasing interest in our city that way, hoping to get more people to visit our city and to support it. Whenever I go to a different city, I make connections with the municipal officials there. I was in North Bay visiting relatives, took some time to meet the mayor and build a relationship that way. So I'm a hard worker. I love this job. It's like my dream job to be involved in politics, and I still feel like I have a lot more to give to our community, and I'm going to continue to work really hard. And I always make myself accessible and get back to people right away. If you ever have an issue, you know how to look me up and just get in touch, and I'll do what I can to help. And I really care for people. I want to make a difference in their lives and invest in their lives, and I'm very passionate about the city. There's a lot of excitement happening, and I want to help Cambridge reach its full potential.
Well, thank you once again for tuning in to Chamber Web TV and joining in on the conversation with the candidates for the October 27th municipal election. October 27th is the day you can actually go to the polls and mark the ballot the way you're used to doing. But remember, between October 11th and 25th, you have a 2-week window, 24 hours a day, to cast your ballot online or by telephone. You'll get your voter registration card, and that will give you all the details on how to do that. One way or another, please, we encourage you to exercise your democratic privilege. Do cast your ballot. And Nicholas, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Brian.
Great talking to you.
It was a real honor and good privilege to be here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.